What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Times, the easy thing to do, the lazy thing to do is look at the results of a season and say, it's a coach's fault or it's the quarterback's fault. I think oftentimes you have to look beyond that. I was prepared for this question, right? Chuck Noll, his first 3 years, Hall of Fame coach, he was 1-13, 5-9, 6-8. But they recognize that this guy's a good football coach, right? Bill Belichick, here's his first 3 seasons, 6-10, 7-9, 7-9. Tom Landry, 0-11, 4-9, 5-8, 4-10, 5-8. Hall of Fame coaches, all of them. Bill Walsh, first year, 2-14. Second year, 6-10. So I think the easy thing to do is just look at the results and say, oh no, we've got to have a change. You got to look beyond that. What are the reasons why we? Here's what I think.
Gosh, somehow it seems even worse than I thought it was going to.
It looks worse. Also, that's a theme that he was just continuing to bang on with my old man on the coach's show the other day. Look beyond the results. Look beyond the results. All right, that's the thing, Mickey. Fine. If it's not the coach's fault, it's not the quarterback's fault, not the player's fault, then it's the front office's fault. And really, like anything else in life, it's amalgamation of all of it, right? You have a bad head coach with a poorly constructed roster with a flawed quarterback that is done. So, yeah, you're right. It's so funny because he keeps hammering this look beyond like it's some sort of, like it's the ace of spades that he's throwing down on the table. But it's like, no, bro, that all you're saying is look at me. If we're looking beyond the coach and the quarterback and looking beyond the results, where do we land? Where do our eyes land? They land squarely on the GM in the front office. Taylor, give me your rebuttal to Mickey Loomis claiming that Dennis Allen has the potential to be one of these Hall of Fame head coaches.
Well, I know Mickey Loomis said I was prepared for this. I actually was prepared because
I do love how cocky he was. Like, I was preparing for this question.
There's a difference.
You prepared for the question by asking why you continue to employ a coach that can't win and hasn't won ever in his career? Oh, wow. Really appreciative of you, guy. Anyway, sorry.
Well, Mickey Loomis is like, I did my homework on this. There's a difference between filling out answers to do your homework and doing it correctly. Look, he threw out the Tom Landry numbers, 5 straight losing seasons. Correct. The Cowboys were a brand new franchise when Tom Landry took over. Do you know what happened after those 5 years? Tom Landry never had a losing season for 20 consecutive seasons. Bill Walsh, first 2 seasons in San Fran, he had a losing record. But they were 2-14 before he took over in 1978. They were the worst team in the NFL. They had also signed O.J. Simpson in 78. In order to do that, they gave up their first-round draft pick. So Bill Walsh takes over a 2-14 team with no first-round draft pick, making the rebuild even more difficult. It's funny he didn't mention year 3 for Bill Walsh because he went 13-3 and won the Super Bowl in year 3 in San Francisco. So way to leave that one out. He mentions Bill Belichick, 3 straight losing seasons in Cleveland, 11-5 in year 4. And then he also did not bring up his second opportunity because this is Dennis Allen's second opportunity. He failed at the Raiders. He's now failing with the Saints. What did Bill Belichick do? He won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. He gives 2 bad examples of head coaches starting early in their career under bad franchises, unlike Dennis Allen. Then he mentions Belichick's first stop, not his second. And then he fails to mention the 6 Super Bowls. Dennis Allen in 3 years with the Raiders, 4-12, 4-12, 0-4, fired halfway through his 3rd year. With the Saints, 7-10, 9-8, and now he's freaking 2-5. He is not on the same path as any of those guys.
Get him, Tay. Let Tay cook. Well done. Well done. An objective and inarguable refutation of that look beyond gaslighting bull junk that you trying to hit us with. I got to start watching more Prime interviews so I can get better euphemisms for curse words because I like when he says bull junk. Hey, that's bull junk. It's so good. Anyway.
Baloney. You remember when people used to say, for BS?
Yeah.
BS, baloney.
Yeah. My old man, that old coach, he used to say, Jiminy Crickets. That was his way of avoiding it. My grandpa used to go, boys, 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 boys. That was it. Boys, 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 all the time. Yeah, look, man, how do you get excited for anything else left this season? And it's not about playoffs, right? Like, it doesn't have to be about playoffs. But like I said, the worst part is, even if you're a bad team, there's generally something you can latch on to as like, okay, but this is where we can look for growth. Where is that on the New Orleans Saints? It's really like just Taliesin-Fuanga. Because even though Olave's contract feels too far down the road, like, is he a realistic part of any rebuild? We got the news yesterday. Rashid Shaheed's knee is as bad as feared, 4 to 6 months out.
Tight.
Debo leaves the game last night. Like, all of the old people are out. All of the young guys are really like kind of not that young guys. Like, I guess Brazil's probably young enough where he sticks around for whatever the next portion of this is.
And Brazil he's not a 3-down player.
Yeah, he's a good pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean, him last night, he was in the spin cycle trying to stop the run.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not saying he is really good at getting after the passer, and there is a skill set in the NFL to be interior pass rusher, specialist, and play a lot and make a lot of plays. But, like, even a piece like that, you're like, okay, well, he's not going to be out there for all 3 downs. And then we talked about this last week. Kool-Aid McKinstry's going to be, I think, a good player, but it wasn't a need for you. Like, you have young players at that position already, and now you try to feel like you're forcing somebody. Now, we'll see what happens with Lattimore, and maybe it was for the future, but this roster is not a future roster. Like, it was kind of set up to go try to win right now if you could.
I think the McKinstry pick was very much, yes, a bit of playing for the future for Lattimore, a bit of, look, Dennis Allen's a defensive coach, and especially when it comes to secondary, like, that's his bread and butter. And then also, I think they just felt that he was probably the best guy on the board. And you know how teams vacillate between we need this or is this guy just what we think? Like, is this guy so undervalued here that we almost have to take him regardless of position? So I think it was kind of a marriage of those elements. I could go either way there because at the same time, reaching for need can get you into trouble. But again, it's just a poorly constructed roster.
It was maybe their deepest position.
Yeah, it was. No, absolutely. It's just a poorly constructed roster. I'm looking beyond the results, Mick. I'm looking beyond the results. We're looking at the roster makeup. We talked all offseason about needing weapons. You didn't get those. Again, but I mean, I bet you a lot of people in the front office, if they were being completely honest, and maybe this would be an excuse take, but I think some would argue that this is by design. I think that they would tell you, oh, yeah, well, you know, we've secretly been trying to tank and, you know, clear up the cap a little bit. And it's not, I mean, they've definitely been trying to clear up the cap. They feel very laissez-faire, let the chips fall where they may. If the results suck, the result sucks. We'll go from there. Something that you can only get with extreme job security, which, again, is fine. You know, I've accepted it. Like, the front office isn't going anywhere. That's okay. I get it. But you can't run it back with DA. You just cannot. You cannot. And I get the idea. I know if you were DA, listening to this, you're like, oh, well, you know, after this guy, bad luck injury. Okay, I get it. That's fine. Whatever. I'd feel like that too if I was in your shoes, you know? But that don't change the objective results. The wins and losses are the wins and losses. The sample size is the sample size. And it's like when Sean Payton benched, was it Jamal Brown, Charles Brown back in the day? I've seen enough. Bottom line, I've seen enough. It's over. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.